Welcome back to Factorio Ribbon World. My name is Nilaus, and this is the second episode of our recap of what is going on over on my Twitch series. This is on a weekly basis. I will just summarize and sort of explain the story of what we're doing. This serves a couple of purposes. If you don't like live streams, then you get this new series with all the quirks and stuff like that. But on the other hand, if you like this series but have not been able to join all of the streams, then you can catch up here and then you will be all caught up and ready to come into a live stream. Now I'm streaming this Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time at Twitch TV/Nilaus, and that's where it's going to be for the next foreseeable future. Now that was the intro. Let's talk a bit about what is going on here. This is where we left off at the last time. I spent a lot of time in the previous episode explaining the rules and how hype trains and all that stuff works. If you are unsure about that, go back, watch the previous episode. We're going to be focusing on the content because, man, did we get a lot of things done. So at this point, it was a really nice place to end. We have our jumpstart base here. We have the hub established, and then that's a good place to start. Now we can actually start building stuff, and we have a bit of space out here. We have 2 city blocks available. We have a rooms up here for trains. We've established our blocks, so that will be sort of the premise of what we're going to work with. The first thing we want to take a look at is, of course, we want to get out there to do some oil. So that will be the very first objective, is get out and get some oil. Once we get oil, we will also start working on military science so that we are able to push back any biters that are still on our side of this island. The first thing I built was actually establishing this part. This is the military science. The military science is now working. I am taking the coal we need for grenades. I'm taking that from the new location. This one is kind of in the middle of everything, and inside of our small temporary, I hope, bus base here, but let's see how temporary that actually ends up being. And so I want to remove this as much as possible. The remaining part here, the original, is only going into the power part and also into just fueling this part. So anything that we would need for explosives and science here, then that will come from the new location. So I want to be exhausting this so I can free up my sacred path for more important things. Also started working on the oil, though in and of itself it doesn't do much, because we got out here and we are going up here, and then we can see that yes, there is a bit of oil, but it's not really hooked up to anything. So what are the first things we want to do? Well, the first thing we absolutely want to do is getting rid of all these stupid cliffs. So cliff explosives is going to be the most important. That means we need to get some sulfur going so we can make explosives, so we can make cliff explosives, so we can get rid of that. And once we get that, then we can start actually being more flexible on where we place things. We've been really constrained with actually using this area because of all those stupid cliff explosives. So it is really all about them cliff explosives. So let's focus on cliff explosives so far, and also maybe get some plastic going if possible. So from this overlay here, we can see that, hey, we have sulfur, sulfuric acid, we have plastic. It's all great, except that we are in the middle of a bit of a crisis here. A bomb has exploded right here, taking out all of our sulfuric acid, all of this this build as well. And that needs to be rebuilt. Also, the plastic isn't actually working. It's just kind of hooked up, but not really finished hooked up. But we did get just a bit of sulfur going out, and I couldn't really find room on the bus, so we just dragged it over here. Dragging it over here, building the most important thing in the entire world. Get some explosives going and get some cliff explosives going. Yay, we got some cliff explosives, and that means we are going to go out here and just explode everything that we can. Get rid of all of these damn annoying cliff explosives. That is just how that's the most important part, because then I can actually start dictating how I want to build, and that is glorious. So if we look at this now, this part isn't really going to be useful for a while. That's just going to be for the next level, for explosive shells for a tank, but we don't even have blue science or anything. But if we look at it, we have the sulfur. Granted, it's a bit broken. So at this point, we have this, and we have kind of a choice. We can push further into blue science and try to get that as early as possible. But blue science is going to need batteries. Batteries are going to need some more iron here. Also, we have, if we build blue science what's the point of building blue signs if I don't have anywhere to bring it? And I'm not going to bring it in here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to focus on building a new science lab that can take the military science, and then I'm going to build some red and green science here. We'll build some blue science over here, and that will be the first part. So even though it's so tempting to get the blue science going right now, it doesn't really make sense to do because I don't have any place to actually process it. So we're going to be focused on replacing this with something else instead, also so that we can have more green circuits, because green circuits are very dead. This is just a small green circuit build we have, and that definitely needs to be removed. You can see I'm already starting to removing all of the stuff that I'm building in this part. Also, if we look at research, you can see there's really not that much left in terms of like interesting things. Once we get over here, there's only the blue science remaining. So it really is time for us to start focusing on blue science, but also focusing a bit on our infrastructure first. And just as we look at this, I'm going to show you what the bombs do. They are up to 25%. Yep, that's not me saying it. That's the mod that actually imitates me. And we drop bombs here. They will just explode after the counter ticks. And they are now 25% of a nuclear bomb here. So they take out a nice chunk of area here. Where was it? It was that one. And where was the other one? That one. Okay, so that one was rather lucky in terms of where they dropped. And we can then jump forward to have a look at how we want to expand the base with our with replacing this part here. So here we are. Things have quieted down. There are no more bombs exploding left and right, and we are just gradually removing all of the work here, and we'll be replacing that as well. So this is being replaced. Oh, we can also see that we are actually forgetting to get coal in here, so we need to bring that in so that it doesn't run out, as it is already about to do. Over here we have reestablished the things that we needed. We have all of the cliff explosives we want. We can take this one out. We have over here as well. So it's also looking really nice. I have started building like the template for the red circuits, but red circuits is going to require plastic. That's okay. We have that here. And it also requires green circuits, which we don't have at all. So we're going to need to build some green circuits at this point first in order to even get to a red circuit, in order to get to the blue science. We also have another location here. As the bombs got up to 25, we had a level 5 hype chain, so it was selected to get a new ore patch. We got this iron, and they increased the bomb strength, so that's up to 25 at this point. At this point, it's all focusing on getting a new green science built, and then we can proceed here. So let's take a look at what we want the green science build to look like. So here we have the new green science build. It consists of 2 copper builds, full yellow lines out, and also a iron line that's dedicated here. So the iron line is dedicated to this location, and the copper lines are not quite dedicated, but they take half of for each of the belts in here, and the rest move on. So right now this one is also like consuming way more than it can. We'll just leave it as this, and it will go out as 2 full yellow belts, which of course is going to take way more than what we have, but that's kind of okay. At least at this point, we know that we have all of the green circuits we need for now. I'm also still taking it in an awful way up here, so I think I want to go move it back down here to the hub. Oops! Ow! Also, we can see we are unable to do any handcrafting at this moment, so that's been one of the penalties that has been inflicted on me. And the next one we really want to do, we've been sort of working on this. We can also see the biters are getting very, very close here. They have expanded out and started claiming some of my territory, and they will be coming in really quickly. I've set up some turrets here, but I really need to take this out. We can also see now this occasion, if we could just take those 5 locations out, we would actually get peace and quiet for a very long time in terms of biters. That would be really nice. Also, if we look at it, this is the one that got spawned because of a hype train, but 1, 2, 3, 4, that is perfect. We got some more coal, we got some more copper. We want to make this into a dedicated iron steel smelting at some point. And then moving further out here, we leave the top for trains, which will be one of the things that we want to do once we get the blue science going and the new science facility. So let's focus on the science facility now that we have the greens. Let's get that going as well. First thing we want to start with is the red circuits. So now we have red circuits fully operational. We can take the red circuits and wrap them back. The reason why I wanted the red circuit is because we also need that to keep going for roboports and logistics bots later on as well. So what we want to do now is build a new, or rebuild the yellow-green colors, red, green science facility here, which will now be merged with. We have all the ingredients we need. We have for the purple, for blue science will be here, red circuits, sulfur, and iron and steel for the engines. So with that done, we should be able to get us some new science. This one is getting built. Let's build this and then also build a science facility up here. Seems to be the most important thing to do at this point. And look at this beautiful facility here. We now have a new science facility. I started using the first red and green circuits. Red and green circuits, I'm using those for some productivity modules, and just like that we have a bomb that will go here. You can also see the bomb has now gone up to 35 because we have a new change that will go up and make these bombs even bigger. And look at how much space they actually take out. Well, at this point I don't have any robots, but we do have some things. Well, actually, don't we have robots? Well, we do have something that looks like robots over here, because as soon as you get the blue science going, the first things you are going to research will be stuff like the advanced oil processing, and then worker robot speed, and then we get going. So what I've also just plopped down, I plopped down all of these blueprints. You should be recognizing these as being from my master classes. So if you're not aware, then I have a dedicated series here on YouTube that goes through every build in the game that you would need, and have some really crisp designs for this, and you can just take them and plop them down here as you need them. One of those is the robot rush, which basically takes some very basic materials in as soon as you have researched the advanced oil processing. So you get the lubricant, and you get the electric engines, and you get all of this chained up here. Then you just need steel, iron, copper, water, and oil. Put that in, plop it down, and you have a small production of construction bots coming in here. If we get this one, which we don't have yet, but that will be one of the things we absolutely want here, so we can actually focus on getting robots at this point. Now we can build one of these. The first thing we will do is, once we have our first roboport, is to actually just put these in here to the roboport. And once we have that roboport, let's get it. Where are you? There you are. There. And then we just plop them in there and get it there. So now we have robots in-house, our first little area, and that will be very much a focus from here on, is trying to spread out the roboport area as much as possible, so we get coverage everywhere, and we can have the robots, the house robots, fix the things that get blown up by bombs. Now the bombs are getting bigger, so it's really about, for me, making sure that we have a robot army that will always come in and fix things as it blows up immediately. What we do have a major problem with is actually the power, because what we're seeing here is that you can see it's going to be a problem very soon. Now, right now we do have 72 max, but I won't be able to support 72 because this oil here, this belt here, if all of these are working at 100% capacity, then it will consume 18 per second, and I can at maximum get 15 per second in on a yellow belt. So if it really goes up to maximum utilization, then we will have a problem here. Then the belt won't be able to keep up. So unless we make it a red belt, but that's not really where we are right now. So even though it looks like we have 72 megawatt of capacity, we don't really have that. We only have less than that. Let's call it 60 megawatt. And with all of this working, and science, and also the modules and all that stuff, it starts adding up, and we need to be somewhat worried about it. Now, at this point, well, our base is, we got our tech, we got sort of really quickly build all of our tech, and the next thing we want to do is now build some more infrastructure. When we talk about infrastructure in terms of Factorio, it's very often more smelting belts, but very key part is rails. So what I've been trying to do is just testing some different options here. One of the options is having them branch off and just have it like this and then 2-lane. I can see the point of this. It doesn't give me quite as much capacity as it looks like it would. Because even though I could build like multiple of these like this, it still doesn't, I mean, it looks funny. It looks like arches and stuff, but first of all, it covers the sacred path, which is not really something I'm super enthusiastic about. And the other thing is, well, doesn't really get there. This one though is pretty good. It also has the advantage that if I want to build it like this, I can also do like that. And then see if I have tracks here and here. So what I can do here is I can load it from the top side and load it from the bottom side. So I can have 2 train stations at each location. It's not a lot. I acknowledge that. So that means 1 item in, 1 item out. What about if you need 2 items in or 3 items or 4 items? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But at least we're getting started on this. And what I want to do is I want to establish a train line that goes from this iron ore, because if we look at our iron ore back here, it is not doing so well, and we are running out of pretty much everything here. This is not, look how weak this is. So before we run completely out of iron and copper, or iron and steel, then I want to make sure that we get a new line coming in here and feeding it with the ore coming from that one. I think that would be the most beneficial initial train line to build. So let's build that also before we run out of power. So it's kind of a balance at this point. We focused on doing some teching to get the blue science going, but as soon as we get that, we are straining our resources, both in terms of getting raw resources in, running out of the existing patches, and running out of power. So now we have to sort of forget all about teching for a while and then go back to building the infrastructure to make sure that we can support the base. Let's get the first iron in here so we can feel a bit more secure about our supply situation. And here we have the first train line established. This is a nice little iron ore train. This will go along the edge of the road, or edge of the base, and just casually go back here and unload. Let's have a look at this. We are coming in and unloading at this location. Let's get the unload, and you can see it comes on this belt, 4 belts, and they're not moving as fast as they could, but hey, that's because of the consumption part. We're not consuming it as fast as we're producing. That's good. And we've now fully saturated these parts. I will of course make sure that these are going to prioritize the stuff coming from my first location. How much we have here? 103,000. So that's going to be used up quite soon. As we move in here, you will see something else that is different, and that is we mentioned in the previous right before, we mentioned that we had issues with our supply side, the iron ore, and also with potentially with power. Now we've established a little branch off here that's very small, but hey, not insignificant. This is making solar panels. The solar panels will go in here and build this. I'm using my normal pattern and leaving room for the accumulators once we get that. So even without the accumulators, then during the day you will see that there. It is starting to actually provide half of the power. If we're consuming, let's say 40, and we're getting up there towards the 20 mark, that means we lower the consumption of coal, and that's nice. It is hard to transition away from fossil fuels, but we are doing our very best to do that. I will be taking this part and then stamping down anywhere that's possible, even up here later on as well. Now, if we look at, sort of take a step back and look at what we have achieved in this space, well, we've now solved the problems that we wanted. We have been able to tech up all the way to blue science and red circuits. So we have that. We have robots. If you look at our robot coverage, it's a bit of a mess, but everything is covered. So we got robots covering everything. We got the science facility going. We can research what we want up to and including blue science. We have power. We now have some solar panels. We're going to, of course, work on the next parts. We have our first infrastructure in terms of trains built. So I think that this is a good place where we can say, all right, we've actually achieved some pretty cool things. So what I want to do to talk about is what will be coming next. What will be the next things we want to do? Well, these are running out quite rapidly. So we have already replaced here with the iron ore. We'll replace that, but over here we have some nice juicy iron facilities that will be into an iron smelting and a steel smelting facility dedicated here that will go out to trains, so we can bring those back here. When we open this area, then we can get the copper and do the same thing for the copper as well. On top of that, of course, we're going to build the batteries, and so that we can build accumulators, so we can get rid of our coal power eventually. Also, we want to make sure that we get just a bit of blue circuits going. Blue circuits will enable us to get just a bit of little hack of yellow signs, so that I can get this particular one, because I can get my power armor here which requires some processing units. And if I can then get this part, hack a bit of yellow signs, and it should be possible. If you look at it, flying robot frames, I can leech that off our robot rush, the low density structure. That's just copper, iron, and copper, steel, and plastic. We can get that, and the blue circuits, which will be one of the things. If I can get this, then I can get this, and then I can get an actual useful personal robot port, and that's what I really want to get. So those are definitely some of the next things, and then of course from there on we will go up and expand into yellow signs and purple signs, and expand out here as we expand it. So I hope you are interested in this series. If you are, and either here as this sort of catch up and just summary of how's it going and get a feel for the progress, or if you want to see more details, then I'm streaming it, as I mentioned, on Twitch TV/Nilaus on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European time. If you can't make it those times but want to see the VODs are either on Twitch, or after a bit every week or so, I move them over to my secondary YouTube channel. I didn't know I had one. It's called Nilaus TV. There's a link somewhere here, also in the description. And I have all my VODs from all my live streams, so you can go back and watch anything that I live stream over there on my second channel, if you are preferring the YouTube video player compared to the Twitch one. I hope that that made sense. So thank you very much, everyone, for following, coming by the live streams. It's super awesome to see so many people interested in me playing Factorio again, and I'm having a blast playing it. It's super fun with all this engagement and how it interacts, and allowing people to just drop bombs and help me out during the series. Super amazing. So thank you very much, everyone who's supporting and being part of that. If you are not into that but you want to support, then I just want to mention that I also have a Patreon that is possible to support the channel if you feel so inclined. I really appreciate all the people who are supporting, and that's really how I keep this running, because I am not into clickbaits. I am not into ad integrations. I prefer to have a community sponsored channel, so that's why I do it the way I do. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating, supporting, and watching to the end. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.